Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Love Your Vibe podcast. I'm your host, Reverend Sean Robert Grant. Super excited and happy to be with you here today. My birthday is here in a couple of hours, and actually around the world to some of our listeners, it is already my birthday. And I'm so excited, as you can tell. I'm also very excited to have you with me here listening in. We've got a few things I want to cover, which I think will be absolutely terrific here. But let's get into our normal way of business first and foremost. If you have any type of comments, any type of response, you want to correspond, you want to give feedback, you want to ask some questions, you have an idea for a topic that you would love for us to go over here on this podcast, please write to us at shaung04@gmail.com, and we will get back to you as soon as we possibly can. Okay, so very, very happy and excited to be doing that. And I'm also very excited to be in a position to offer something in honor of my birthday that I haven't done before, but I want to do now. So the generosity and the gifts that people have given, especially on a financial level for my birthday and to my ministry around that time, has just been, truly wonderful in every sense of the word. So what I want to do is I want to take each gift that is given, and I want to return the favor by offering a 1-hour session of your choice of anything that you may feel like you need help in, you want to improve in, you just want to get a deeper insight in. If you decide to give a gift or a donation to me, which is going straight to my ministry at Heart of Christ Ministry, I will reward you, a gift of any size. I will reward you with the 1-hour session of your choice. And we're talking about, we can do fitness, we can do energy medicine, we can do money manifestation, we can do mindset mastery, we can do self-love, self-belief, all these amazing things. There's so many options. You can get in contact with me and we can figure it out from there. But if you do decide to give, you can give in a multitude of ways, and the one thing that, or you can actually choose, especially if you're in America, you can choose which way you decide to donate and give. And so we have PayPal, which is the same as the email, shaung04@gmail.com, right? Zelle is the exact same as the email, shaung04@gmail.com. Venmo is at Heart of Christ Ministry. And am I missing anything? That pretty much covers it. I don't know my Cash App off top, but if you get in touch with me, we can figure that out. But those are pretty much all the same with the exception of the Venmo. Thank you in advance for that. I look forward to actually getting the opportunity to work with you if you do decide to donate and give any type of financial gifts or treasures, as I like to call them, because they all help. So, that's a bit of a tongue tie. But with that being said, let's get into today's message. And today we're talking about believing in yourself. And I put in the subject or the topic line, or the subject line, not topic line, subject line, that it's taken me 42 years to really understand how to believe in myself. It's taken me 42 years to really understand how to love myself. And the reality behind that is that it's really and utterly the truth in every possible way. I struggled mightily in that regard, attempting to make myself feel worthy enough. And then I awakened. And when I mean I awakened, I understood who the true essence of me really is, right? As a divine essence, as divine awareness, as an infinite, eternal, unlimited divine expression of the I am presence of God. Once I realized that, it made me be completely and utterly able to comprehend and to understand that I have always been enough, right? And so the thing that I discovered is, if you're not there yet, you just want to keep going. You want to keep going. You want to continue to move. You want to continue to allow yourself to be in that space where you're working towards this goal, even if it seems hard, right? There's been like, even more so in the past 5 years, because I feel like my growth has just been accelerated on a magnifying type level. You might get to a place where you say, oh man, well, I'm still not there. This is not good enough. But the reality is the divine has it set up in a way that there is nothing outside of us that can open us up to a higher consciousness or a higher awareness. There just isn't. There's things that can inspire us. There's things that can help us to stroke our own fire, but there's nothing that can just all of a sudden make us open or awaken to a higher consciousness. Now, it's so funny because I sit and I think about this, and I can remember, I want to say about 6 or 7 years ago, there was this product called Magnetic Pills, and on the back it said that it would it would enhance and expand your consciousness if you took this pill. And I remember taking this pill, and I think you had to take 2 or 3 of them, and it gave me the absolute worst headache you could ever imagine. It was the worst, most uncomfortable feeling that I could have ever experienced. And when I experienced that, I realized, you know what? When it comes to divine, when it comes to God, when it comes to reaching the highest awareness that we all are, you can't cut corners. There's just no way. There's no way you're going to ever be able to cut corners. It will happen at the time that it will happen. In 7, 8 years later, almost, it's now happened. And it's happened because that desire to experience it was there. And see, that's what feeds you and allows you to progress one step at a time in an incremental capacity to where you can finally get to that point where you feel awakened, but also where you can understand that you can believe in yourself. And so the thing that I realize now that I didn't realize then is that there are levels to this. And there's just going to be times where you just don't believe in yourself in a way that you feel like you need to, but it's actually the right amount of a capacity of which you need to believe in yourself. And if you look back in your life, you can see that everything you have done and completed successfully and even from an adversity standpoint overcame, you've had the self-belief, you've had the self-worth, you've had the knowing that you could do this or you wouldn't have been able to do it. So that in itself is something to celebrate on the highest level, because we really, and what I've been thinking of more so than anything else was I really have to celebrate, being in a position, having so many struggles and challenges and adverse conditions, and then still finding a way to believe in myself to experience success, experience fulfillment, experience triumph, experience progress, to be able to do something you really set out to do in the midst, or I guess in the midst of struggling with things within your own self, is truly something magical. It really is. And like I said, you deserve every single right to applaud yourself for that. And so the idea here is more so about not getting discouraged, right? Not getting discouraged first and foremost, and not comparing yourself. Because if we compare ourselves, what we tend to do with that is we take away all of the progress that we've made. We take away all of the confidence we already possess. And it is so easy to compare yourself and make yourself feel like you have to be relating yourself to someone who has an entirely different path. And that's the beauty of life, is we all have different paths. But if I'm going to compare myself to LeBron James, or I'm going to compare myself to Barack Obama, if I'm insecure, right, or not even necessarily insecure, but I'm not at a space where I feel completely and utterly 100% comfortable and enough within me, it's going to make me feel somewhat insecure, make me feel like, well, my life is absolutely nothing because I hadn't become the president of the United States. My life is absolutely nothing because I'm not an NBA champion. I'm not a 6-time MVP winner or anything like that. So you want to get out of that. So as they say, you want to stay in your own lane, and you just want to really rehash what you've gone through to get to where you are today. And with tomorrow being my birthday, that is something that I've really just been reflecting on, like all the stuff that I've gone through. And I think back a year to this time and where I was, and I'm like, man, I've grown. I think back to 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and each year I have grown so immensely and so exponentially that every time my birthday comes around, I can be proud of not just who I was, but who I am. And when those two come together, that is when you really discover a dynamic level of self-belief and an ability to have faith within yourself that begins to get to this place where it is unwavering. And when we have an unwavering faith, we will almost feel unstoppable. And we will almost feel unstoppable because we'll step in to the divinely ordained, guided path for ourselves, and we will show up with all our light. We will show up with everything that we got, all the energy and the ability to be ready and to not be stopped under any circumstance whatsoever, but to fulfill the task at hand. And that is a result of directly believing in yourself. Okay. So I think back as a child, and, unless you really had someone directly giving you confidence, directly pouring into you, or even indirectly, but more importantly, someone giving you the ideology of having a high self-worth and a high self-belief, there's some chance that you might have struggled, right? And I say that because I'm speaking of my own experience, from my own past experience of not really being able to experience that right away. Now, I say that because if you have children, or if you have nieces or nephews, and they start to experience some inadequacies about themselves, the best thing you can do is encourage them and tell them, you know what? Yeah, you may not be good at sports, but you're really good at art. You're really good at writing. You're really good at math. You're really good at being the best son, daughter, cousin, nephew, niece, whatever it is. Really encourage them. And you encourage them in a way to where it helps them to lean on their strengths and not so much on the things that they may feel uncomfortable with. You see, so that's a very emotionally, spiritually mature thing to do. And I can guarantee to no fault of the parents, of our guardians, of our teachers or authority figures, anything else, no fault to them. But the fact of the matter is, there's not very many human beings that understand how to do that and feel consciously responsible to be able to offer that to the souls around them that are looking for that guidance. So if you're like my age or even younger, or in a space where you have kids, or you're a teacher and you're influencing young souls every day, really allow them to lean on their strengths. Because when a child, and even when an adult, follows their strengths, follows what they feel inherently drawn to, and feels like somewhat it has basically an easy, an opportunity for easy expression, this will always allow anyone to become more confident in who they are. And that's we see that in society all the time, right? You know, you'll see some of the biggest stars in Hollywood be completely insecure in other areas. Same with athletes, same with politicians. You know, there's so much there where in order to build that all-around confidence, and all-around confidence means just being completely confident in every area of your life, you got to lean on what you feel most confident in right here, right now. And for the longest time for me, I felt confident in my kindness, in my compassion. And so that was my strength. It wasn't fishing for compliments. It wasn't, having somebody to like me, having somebody to love who I was. No, my strengths and my abilities were completely and utterly on point with my confidence, right? I'm sorry, not my confidence, my kindness and my compassion in offering that to others as well as myself. And then from there, I could build on the confidence in other areas. And then ultimately, like in the last 10 or so years, I'd say about 13 years, build that confidence in every single area to where I can show up as the light that I am. And this can be the case for you too, without a shadow of a doubt. So what I want to get into now, before we start to wrap this up here, is understanding how you can be confident. And the first thing you got to do is you got to know yourself. That quote, "Know thyself and to thy own self be true," is on a different magnitude of understanding how the human psyche works and how it works once it connects to an aspect of itself that is so much more divine and expansive. So when you know yourself, you know which situations to put yourself in. You know what makes you light up. You know what makes you strong. You know what makes you feel insecure. You know what makes you feel weak. So what we have to do, and once again, this is something to encourage to the younger crowd, and I didn't even think about this up until now. There's likely a younger crowd that are listening to what I'm saying, but it doesn't matter what age you are. You can be in your 50s or 60s. And if you know yourself and you're true to yourself and you're authentic and sincere in everything that you are, and that can be challenging sometimes, but what counts is the effort to do that and to be that, you're going to experience a high level of self-worth, a high level of self-belief. You're going to know that you're enough, because here's the thing. The one thing that can stop me from believing in myself is being something I'm not, because every time I lie to myself and not being true, sincere, and authentic, what's going to happen is I'm not going to feel stable in that foundation, right? I only feel stable when I'm doing something that is completely and utterly true to my energy on a subconscious level. So I want to be as true to myself in everything possible. And guess what? If you're a people pleaser or were a people pleaser like I am, and you are now, whatever it is, that can be detrimental to it, but it doesn't have to be. And that sometimes that comes with saying no. Sometimes that comes with saying, you know what, I'm going to think about this and then I'm going to get back to you after I think about it. It comes down to, well, I really feel like I should be paid for this, so I'm going to ask for what I deserve to be paid. And the beauty of that is, if you believe it to be true on the inside, guess what's going to happen? You're going to receive what it is that you want, period, right? So number one, know yourself, and to your own self, be true, okay? Second step, and this is an important one, step out of competition and step into creative expression, okay? Now, here's a perfect example. I love music to this day. I'm in the process of learning how to play the guitar. I'm in the process of learning how to play the piano. But I can tell you, at this moment in time in my life, that's not my dynamic intelligence, right? That's not my change the world intelligence. So if I were to compare myself to, let's say, a Chris Brown or a Babyface Edmonds or a Drake even or Taylor Swift, and I attempted to try to be in competition with these individuals, what's going to happen? I'm going to feel lesser and lesser and lesser. Why? Because I'm trying to express myself in a competitive way in their chosen field of expression, their chosen talents and gifts that God has been given them, right? I can't do that, because all that does is that just makes me wind up frustrated and sick about what I'm not able to do. But if I take that and I let go of that competition, I say, okay, you know what? Taylor Swift might be an amazing musician, an amazing singer, but you know what? You know what I am? I'm an amazing speaker. I'm an amazing podcaster. I'm an amazing uplifter of human beings. And that is where I am most dynamic. That is my gift from God. I am elevating the masses, and that's what I'm here to do. And then then from there, you just create from that point, and you're never comparing yourself to anybody. And even if you come into contact with somebody who seemingly has the same path as you, the reality is none of us, it's impossible for everybody, for two people to have the same path. Nobody has the same path. They may look similar, but the same path does not exist for any individual. It is all different, right? So when we understand that, we can, once again, that term, stay in our lane. And if we stay in our lane, man, let me tell you, we're going to experience so many different wonderful unfoldments of manifestation that are direct reflections of that dynamic expression, right? And that's the beauty of it, when we let go of competing and begin to focus on the creativity. This is the one thing that I've always disliked about the school system, is that it puts you in competition right off the bat, right? Naturally, we are going to feel, right, less than. We're going to feel incompetent if we come across individuals who are better at school than we are. And to call out grades out loud, or to let kids see different grades, it's competition breeding at the youngest of age, right? As opposed to, well, you know what? Maybe Jack is really good at science, but Betty is amazing at art, right? And we need to commend both of them for what they do well in, as opposed to comparing one to the other, when one child may be strictly an academic scholar and another child may be, the next great artist, right? So I don't want to get on my soapbox, but that's something that I've never really cared for. And I've always wanted to find a way to contribute to reset that in the people that are adults now, and also the younger generation. You can't compare yourself. If you're ever going to believe in yourself, you got to know yourself, and you've got to create from the very energy that you are. And that will take you to new levels in life. It just does. That's how it works, right? We're here to stay in our lane and to express the authenticity and the gifts that God has given us uniquely for us. All right. So number 3 here. Okay. If we are truly going to know ourselves and have a high self-worth, we got to let go of the need for approval. Okay. Got to let go of the need for approval and validation. And here's why. Approval and validation will kill every aspect of the authentic sincerity and genuineness that is born from us, that comes from us, that we create from, that we express from. It will absolutely kill it. Why? Because the moment you do something that somebody else does not necessarily agree with, guess what's going to happen? You're going to question yourself, right? Now, you can bring that to them. You can pick their brains and see what they think, but do not allow their opinion or their advice to sway you from what you know to be true in your heart, right? Because, and I've been through this a number of times. I actually went through this a couple of days ago. I did a video and I absolutely just loved the video and I thought it was truly amazing. And I sent it to my younger brother and he didn't say anything bad about it, but he said, interesting. Now flashback, let's say 13, 14, 15 years ago, he would have said that, I would have got really upset. And I'd have been like, okay, well, I got to shoot it again. But I'm so happy I didn't shoot it again because this video is such a life-changing, eye-opening, transforming level of wisdom that people really need to hear. But if I would have let my old need for approval and validation dictate what I did and how I expressed myself, I would have missed out on the opportunity to offer that gift to all those people out there who need it, right? And so it's such an integral part to our growth and to our self-worth and our ability to be the best that we can be on the highest level. And that's all we really want, because that's when we are the most fulfilled, when we're tapped in to ourselves in that regard. So we let go of approval, we let go of validation. We say, you know what? The fact that I am here as a divine being having a human experience, that God felt so urged to love me unconditionally, to allow me to come here as a human being, that is approval and validation enough, right? And it's amazing when you understand that, when you stop working for approval and validation and you start working for creative expression and fulfillment of what your benevolent essence being that you are wants to express, man, it takes you to new heights. It takes you to new levels of joy, of happiness, of fulfillment. It just becomes truly, amazingly something else that I can't even explain, but I want you to feel. Okay. And so this last one we're going to do here is, I don't want to say it's the most significant, but all of them are very important. All of them are eminent in being able to know your worth. But with this one, right, this is so important. This is so important to me, I would say, because this really allows you to be you. Okay. And this kind of goes hand in hand with the last one. But in order to have a high self-worth, in order to be yourself, right, you've got to let go, right? You've got to let go of the attachment to the outside dictating how you must feel. All right. And so what do I mean by that? Perfect example is I run into a situation where I lose the majority of my money and I have one or two choices. I can let that loss of money keep me from living the life that I want to, or I can tap in to the principles we just spoke about, that level of self-belief, and I can say, you know what? Nah, I'm going to live my life to the fullest, regardless of what is unfolding. So then what happens, right? That is impregnated into my subconscious mind, and then the universe gives me exactly that. Next thing I know, what I thought I could only do with a certain amount of money, I'm doing in finding financially creative ways to make it unfold and make it happen. And this has been my story all year long, which shows me it doesn't matter what happens outside of me. What happens is what's going on the inside of me. And that's going to dictate what unfolds in my life. And I just love it in every single sense of the word. It's a beautiful, beautiful, epically wonderful thing. But you got to let go of the attachment to what's on the outside, because that's going to keep you, it's going to hamstring you and throw you around like a rag doll emotionally and mentally. And you're never going to be in a space to where you can just be settled and free in the understanding and belief and knowing in the truth of who you are if you don't get rid of that attachment. So you got to let go of the attachment from everything on the outside. Now, when I say let go of the attachment, I'm not saying you can't enjoy things. You can't, delve into the richness of the material life. I'm just saying, don't let it dictate the happiness that can be there for you all of the time, the peace that can be there for you all the time, the tranquility that can be there for you all the time. Refuse to allow it to dictate that. And when you can do that, man, the amount of self-freedom that is present, it's unheard of, right? People might think you're crazy. They're just like, how you have so much peace? How are you able to do this? Well, because I'm not letting the outside dictate who I am. I'm not letting the outside dictate what I should feel. I'm choosing to do that within myself through my awareness, through my awakening to the highest aspect of who I am, the I am, right? So releasing that enables us to understand that the reality gets back to, if we are going to love ourselves unconditionally, if we're going to believe in ourselves unconditionally, if we're going to have confidence in ourselves unconditionally, if we're going to have a faith in ourselves that is unwavering, it is important for us to follow all of those principles. And those are just touching the surface. But I can promise you, if you start working on those now, you will see the change. You will see the difference. Ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, thank you so much for joining me on this pre-birthday podcast. Love your vibe. I am Reverend Sean Robert Grant. Thank you so much once again. Bit of business here. If you have any questions, any comments, any feedback, any correspondence, please write to us at shaung04@gmail.com. And once again, we talked about this at the beginning. I feel led to reveal it again. If you decide, and also I want to tell you, because I know a lot of you gave last year, I'm going to honor those gifts from last year, as well as this year, with a 1-hour session of any topic of your choice. If you want to go down the podcast list and see what it is that you want to focus on, we can do that. If you want to contact me, you can do that, and we can set up either FaceTime, Zoom, StreamYard, phone call, whatever it is. We can make that happen for you, because it's important for me to give back, especially as more money comes into the ministry, into the Love Your Vibe universe, and all these amazing things. So if you do decide to give, I have these 3 right off the top of my head: PayPal, shaung04@gmail.com, Zelle, if you're in the States, shaung04@gmail.com, and then we have Venmo, which is at Heart of Christ Ministry. You can give any gift that you decide to give to those, or to me as a donation for a birthday gift, whatever it is. I'm going to take it and reward you with that 1-hour session. So thank you in advance. Look forward to setting up these calls with a lot of you, because like I said, you guys have been so generous with me over these past few years for my birthday, and I thank you for that. I appreciate you for that. So with that being said, that is all I got. It's been a long episode, but I'm very happy and thrilled that I got a chance to share it with you. So that being said, have a wonderful day, guys, and we will talk soon. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.